Hi, my name is Danny with Rental Property Redefined. Like a lot of investors, I read Rich Dad Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki, and I was so excited to implement what I learned. So I did not buy a boat, because that's a liability. I bought a house because that's an asset. At least that's what I learned from Rich Dad. So I bought a house that the mortgage payment was $900, and I could rent it out for $1,000. So you can imagine my excitement to get $100 a month positive cash flow and have an asset, not a liability. Um, I was surprised when I got started with the house and was vacant, and I had to mow the grass, I had to pay for the utilities, I had to pay for the insurance, I had to pay for the property taxes, and on top of that, I had a $900 mortgage payment. So for some reason, the asset that I got recommended for me by Robert Kiyosaki was costing me an arm and a leg. Finally, I found a tenant, and I thought my troubles were over. The tenant was a big hassle. They call with maintenance requests. Sometimes they didn't pay on time. Um, so you know the the idea I had in my head is the tenant was the problem, and I still believed Robert Kiyosaki that the house was the asset. Whereas now I know that it's actually the reverse. The house is a liability. The house is going to cost a lot of money. The asset is the tenant. So that was the first key that I learned. And since then, I've talked to thousands of landlords. Being a property manager for the last 15 years, have the same experience that I did. This is a mindset shift where instead of thinking the tenant is the problem, and the house is an asset, you need to reverse that thinking. So finding a good tenant is like mining for gold. That's the first key, and you need to treat that tenant like the asset they are. The second key is understanding the difference between gross income and net operating income. So when I thought I was going to make $100 a month because my mortgage was 900 and the rent was $1,000, I was in dreamland. I did not have a budget for management, which even if you don't manage it on your own, you want to value your time. So you want to value that at least 10%. There's a lot of ways to itemize maintenance, between maintenance and capex and turn costs, but that's going to be about 10% of income. Uh, your vacancy, you go ahead and budget for 10%. Hopefully, you won't have that. But that's another 10%. And then your tax and insurance is going to be another 10%. So like I said, there's a lot of ways to itemize it, but I promise your net operating income is going to be about 60% of the gross. So if it's $1,000 a month rent, for the gross rent, the net rent is going to be about $600. Hopefully that makes sense. So if my mortgage payment is $900, then I have negative cash flow of $300. So there was a day that would have panicked me. But then I remembered, I also put money in my IRA, which is $300 a month. And that's not positive cash flow, that's negative cash flow. So why would I do it if it's negative cash flow? And the reason, of course, is long-term thinking, we're thinking of other benefits. So in that example, if I have negative cash flow of $300, why would I keep that property? And maybe I shouldn't, maybe it's a bad property. But the reason I might keep it would be part of my payment goes to pay down the principal, the amortization schedule. So I'm building up wealth by making a payment. I can deduct the depreciation and the expenses of my taxes. Most investors save $5,000 to $6,000 a year on the depreciation. And then if the property goes up in value, that's not a given. But if that goes up in value, then that's the appreciation. Those are the other reasons to keep the property besides the cash flow. Ideally, you would also have positive cash flow, of course. But those are the two keys that mindset shift there that I had. Whereas I thought that the house was an asset, and it's not. The house is going to cost you a lot of money. What's going to turn that around is the tenant. And and that's the key. And then the other key is realistic expectations about net operating income. Hopefully that's helpful. Thanks.